British developer Rare played a huge role in carrying Nintendo's consoles through times of increasing competition and waning third-party support. Rareware became a recognizable brand associated with cutting-edge graphics, fluid gameplay, and unique concepts. The one, maybe two Rare console releases of every year seemed to me like some of the biggest events in gaming. So when Rare developed only one game for the GameCube before being bought by Microsoft in 2002, I had no plans to buy an Xbox in addition to my PS2 and GameCube, so that's when the good times with Rare suddenly and unexpectedly ended for me. Some people say that Rare's games haven't aged very well, or that in retrospect their game design was never all that good to begin with. Their releases on Microsoft consoles and the occasional Nintendo handheld game have never seemed to generate much buzz, and most of their top creators from the old days have since left. But Rare still holds a very special place in my heart, and I've always felt a need to see for myself where they ended up. So I recently bought a $20 Xbox and, well, there's only one way to start this journey. We gotta get grabbed by the Ghoulies. Sporting a silly name, and a protagonist that looks straight out of a budget kids game, Rare's first Xbox release doesn't inspire much confidence at a glance. Shortcuts in the game's presentation, featuring a strange blend of storybook cutscenes mixed with silent movie-style dialogue cards, do seem to reflect a game that was built on time and budget constraints through a shift in management. My expectations weren't very high, but I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. Grabbed by the Ghoulies turned out to actually be a very fun game. Going into it, I knew almost nothing about the gameplay. Turns out it's pretty much a brawler. Now, brawlers aren't among my go-to genres, but Grabbed by the Ghoulies doesn't look or play like any other brawler that I've come across. The controls are almost daring in their simplicity. Nearly everything is accomplished with analog sticks. You know, twin-stick shooters, right? Well, think of this like a twin-stick brawler. You beat up Ghoulies by tilting the right stick in the direction you want to attack, automatically unleashing combos. You can also pick up all sorts of furniture, tools, and household items to use in both melee and ranged combat, all activated by a flick or hold of the stick. I found this to be very intuitive and fun, and if there's another game out there like it, I'd like to hear about it. You'll encounter a number of friendly staff in the mansion. I don't know how such nice folks got stuck working here, who will temporarily grant you the use of special guns like a holy water soaker, a garlic clove blaster, and a soda can grenade launcher. These are pretty fun and mix up the gameplay every once in a while. One thing that I like about the combat is that there are rarely arbitrary frames in which you can't hurt an enemy. After a few hits, most enemies get stunned and can then continually receive high damage from heavy attacks, which are automatically triggered based on the enemy's status. I'm always frustrated in brawlers and fighting games when I can't hurt an enemy after they've fallen to the ground. Being able to continue wailing away is a lot of fun. Some enemies might turn red momentarily, which means they're invulnerable while readying an attack. Other enemies, like mummies, don't take damage normally and have to be defeated by special means. Grabbed by the Ghoulies takes you through the many rooms of Ghoulhaven Hall in a very directed fashion. The door behind you locks up and you must proceed to the next open door. Usually, you must complete a specific challenge to gain entry to the next room, which might seem like a very video gamey sort of trope, but hey, it is a video game, and it does help to create an interesting hook for each visit to a particular room. Simple challenges might require you to find a key hidden inside an object, defeat every ghoulie, or perhaps only a particular type of ghoulie, or often a combination of challenges. Where the challenges get a little crazy is that a lot of the time there are things that you aren't allowed to do. For example, maybe you can't kill skeletons, or you can't kill the same type of enemy twice in a row, or you're only allowed to attack using weapons. You aren't blocked from breaking these seemingly arbitrary rules, but doing so brings about a grim consequence. The Grim Reaper will appear and begin to hunt you down immediately. One touch and you'll have to start the whole room over. What's interesting though is that though the Grim Reaper's goal is to get you, he's also an equal opportunity one-hit killer. Not only can you smash other enemies in his direction to slow him down, but if they get in his way, he might even do the dirty work for you. In fact, I found that in some cases, it was easier to break the rules and use the Grim Reaper to complete a challenge than to play it straight. A few situations make it almost impossible to keep the rules, and the Grim Reaper is all but inevitable. I'm not sure if that's good or bad design, but it does keep things interesting. Rare fact!
I hope this works!
Main character Cooper's girlfriend is named Amber. Not many people know that the Blast Corps team leader is also named Amber. Could this be a prequel to Rare's N64 cult classic? Of course, back in Rare's heyday, they were known for pushing the graphics potential of a console to new limits. Their last game for a Nintendo console is a real technical showpiece for the GameCube. Grabbed by the Ghoulies is noticeably less ambitious, but it does have a decent cel-shaded look, along with highly destructible environments. Despite the mostly uninspired human character designs, Grabbed by the Ghoulies overall looks and sounds like a Rare game, which was a real treat for me, having not had a fresh experience with one in well over a decade. The soundtrack by Rare veteran Grant Kirkhope wouldn't sound at all out of place in Banjo-Kazooie's Mad Monster Mansion. So hey, it's not what I expected, but also a lot better than I expected. This is only the first step on the Rare after Nintendo journey, but so far, it's seeming a much less bad idea than I feared.